Oh, okay. Now we are live.
All right, all right. So we're here for what episode?
This is episode number let me see,
Five.
six, seven. No, the first one was the interview. We split that in two.
Yeah, that was four.
Five, six.
No, that was five.
Five.
Okay.
Five and then six.
So this is six.
So this is number seven.
Seven?
Yeah.
No, you can't make. You got to make. When you split an episode, that's the same episode. It's still
Is
episode
it? So then we're on
five,
episode six.
part two.
Okay.
So now we're on episode.
Episode six then.
Or would it
If
be
you're going by that
episode?
one.
So it should be episode 6, part 2. Yeah, that's you're right. So this would be episode 7.
Seven, yes. Stand corrected.
Anyways, we're here.
Yeah, we're here, folks.
So we're gonna go a little bit from the serious side that we were at the last time with the Jose's interview.
Yeah.
And kind of just get back into the whole regular flow of things. So don't forget to follow us on
Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Like, subscribe, share with your family members, your friends, and the whole world. If you have that hookup.
Man, we need you. Follow, subscribe, share, participate. Just get involved. That's what we're basically looking for. The more the merrier. Let's get this thing going. And we don't even know where it's going to go, but I'm pretty sure it's going to land somewhere good.
Yeah, all day.
Fair
so
enough.
put a stamp on it, like it, share it again, and let's get into it.
All right, so what do you want to talk about, man?
One of the things this past weekend, a friend of the family actually passed away at his funeral.
Okay.
Young man, 39 years old. And it actually got me thinking about, I think you touched on this like on earlier episodes about that dash, right?
Yeah.
How, you have a beginning and you have an end on your grave tombstone.
Right.
But the thing that matters is that dash.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, man, how many times, do you really sit and think about that dash? What does it represent in your life? What is it about that'll make it stand out to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and make a difference in my life, and I'm going to do the best that I possibly can. So the thing about that, let me see, what's going on here?
What happened?
I don't know. I'm trying to.
Oh,
Dude. Oh, so I got this one.
that's how
Why did
we
you stop though?
Oh, you handle all that, and then we'll start over
Oh, it's
again.
still going. No, I got it.
Are you sure?
Yeah, we're going to finish this
A little bit of technical difficulties, but it's all right. We'll just let that flow. So you're talking about the dash. You're saying that a previous couple episodes ago, I had mentioned something about I basically mentioned one of my biggest fears was not making an imprint on my dash between my birth date and my end date. And fast forward, you end up at a funeral.
Yeah.
For someone you really weren't too close to.
I knew him.
Okay.
I knew him, and I'm more closer to his daughter.
Got you.
And his ex-wife. So, it was a family gathering for them, and I was there in support of her and, her mom. She lost an ex-husband, and, the daughter lost a dad, right? Who doesn't want to do, who wouldn't want that, So it really, made me think about, man, what's my dash going to be like, I'm calling it right now. God, hopefully, God willing, if everything goes good, and if I go before you do, I want you to give my eulogy.
You don't want that. Do you want that?
Yes, I do.
I'm coming full.
Yeah.
I might even grow my hair back out, get a perm.
At that time, you
Drip
probably have a wig. Let it go ahead and just.
I think it's crazy how the fact that I brought that up as a fear, and it came like full circle for you at a funeral to just kind of, because you probably never thought about that before.
I didn't. I've been to many.
You hear that?
Yeah. You hear, the typical great person, and give a shot off the back and help you out, which, in that mourning state, you really want to give them, put them in the forefront. But, and it was funny because you hear that about everyone. Everyone brings up, lights up the room, and that's true.
Do you think, and I know it's a touchy subject about funerals, but do you think that someone Googles what to say at a eulogy?
Oh, yeah.
It has to be a top search.
Yeah. That's a good question. I really do. People that some people that just show up and say, hey, imagine, can you give a eulogy? Yeah, I can. Yeah. And then they show up on the podium, and, some people write stuff out and, make themselves notes, but yeah, I think so.
I could see that. I mean, why not? They say that the biggest fear next to dying, or either this is ahead of dying, is public speaking.
Public speaking, yeah. I don't know why. It comes easy to you and I, but some people, they can't, formulate two sentences in front of an open public. And I think that, I think once you're in that position where you're put to speak, sometimes, you fumble on your words. And I think when you try your hardest, that's when you fumble up, I think.
Right. Overthink it.
Yeah, if you just speak from the heart, I think there's a lot more fluid. It comes out natural. And people, I think, are more relatable that way.
I think a lot of times when we get out there to start talking, just in general in front of people, everything you thought in your head that was going to sound a certain way, it literally never comes out what you think. You're like, that literally was not what I planned for. It's like you have to do a lot. And I think they have the Toastmasters here in Bakersfield. Like they have little groups. It's called Toastmasters. You can go to learn to public speak. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so you can go. There's a couple agents that have taken that. Basically, you go to be able to public speak in front of people, helps you out with presentations and stuff like that. And it's not a real estate thing.
Okay.
But
Did you take it?
No, I never take it. Would I take something like that? I'm like, yeah, I mean, anything. I mean, if I could find the time to do it, I mean, I definitely would. I mean, time's always sometimes I don't know if is it that I'm really that busy, or am I that unorganized, or do I just tell myself I don't have enough time for some reason to do things, Because I always feel like I want a part. There's so much. I mean, everybody wants to have some type of, or, some fundraiser, an event, an educational event. Everybody wants to take your time. Maybe it might just be that those are things that I don't want to do. So I find myself saying I don't have time for them.
Right.
I've been trying to really focus on like simplifying things a lot more. And kind of what I mean by that is, someone had told me one day, I was saying, man, I don't want to do this. And
do what?
It was coaching. So like, I was like, I really don't want to do coaching right now. I wasn't feeling a certain way about it. And I want to take a break from it.
Right.
So they were like, well, then just tell them you don't want to do it anymore. I'm like, yeah, but I feel like I'm letting them down, or I'm letting myself down. They're like,
right.
Be present in the moment. Be happy with what you're doing. Like you've been successful so far with your actions that have got you up to that point to coaching, and you still continue to do the same thing. Like you need to focus on what you want currently in the moment of your life, and stop having others' expectations on your shoulders. So that's kind of why you saw me switch out and start hitting the gym in the morning and then coming in a little bit later. And it's funny because I feel like I'm getting better results doing that. It's almost like it's a whole different type of day, because they say when you do the same thing over and over and get the same results, whether the results are good or bad, or right now for me, I feel like the results are always consistent. That could almost be like insanity.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
that is the true definition of insanity.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's insanity. You're doing the same thing. So, I mean, what do you think about putting people's expectations, your own expectations, consistently to where it's like you almost feel that you are a prisoner of your actions, that you just can't enjoy certain things?
Oh, man. You know what? That's a tough question, man. Because I think a lot of times your expectations of what you want for yourself and what others expect out of you, I think it's a good recipe for, internal destruction. You know what I mean? Because I think if you're trying to do what you want, but at the same time you try to accommodate people, like, doing all these events, and, you're really spreading yourself thin. That, I mean, me personally, if I don't make time for it, sometimes it's either one, probably I forgot. My wife will probably tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
Or I just don't really feel like the need to go ahead and do that. Like, a buddy of mine invited me to go play softball. And I thought, man, my wife's like, yeah, you should do it more often. You're pretty athletic, anything you can do, you pretty much, can be good at. And I thought, no, I don't have time. I can't do that. So then one time I was like, all right, fine, I'll go ahead and play, softball, big whoop, right? And I actually enjoyed it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, one game, no worries. And then the next day I found out, damn, now I know I don't play it because I was hurting. Legs, back, and everything.
Yeah.
So then I got more into it and I thought, you know what? Okay. And he'd ask me, hey, do you want to commit to playing on a team with us? Mm-hmm. I said, no, man, I can't do that. My business is busy. My family, like, I don't have time for that. And then my wife asked me, she's like, why don't you want to play? No, I have to do this, and the kids, want to help you out. She's like, you'd be good at it. I think you need to know that you should try that.
Right.
So then I said, okay, thought about it. And then about, I think it was 2 weeks ago, we went and played on a bigger field. I thought, oh man, like I felt like I was in the big leagues.
Yeah.
Because the grass was cut nice, like the dugouts, it was legit.
Mm.
And so we went, played, and I actually had a pretty good game. I went 4 for 5, 2 RBIs, and it was really, really fun.
Mm.
So then afterwards, he's like, hey, compa, you can come play with us. Do you think you can commit? And then right then and there, I had my moment of clarity, and I'm like, yeah, I can. I can commit to something, and if I make the time for it, which anything I feel that's really important, you will go ahead and make that time for it because it's important to you and you want to do it. I think that's when it matters the most, when you do something that
when you want to do it,
when you're passionate about it and you want to do it, whether it be a party or go to a friend's house or whatever.
Yeah, and I think you can't really I mean, it's a crazy line that you walk when you have children.
Oh yeah.
And I see a lot of parents get caught up in the, well, I have to do this because my children are in all these events and I have to show up, and I mean, obviously you have to. Well, obviously you're doing these things because they can't get there themselves and they're all signed up for it. But I always walk that fine line of like what am I sacrificing in my life too? Like,
oh yeah,
like my time. Like you're only going to be 36 or 30 or 40 one time.
Yeah.
And there's I get that, we talked about that dash and everything in the middle, but when the kids are gone, they're 18, they're moved out, like, is it almost like you retired now? Like, hey, you know what, I'm done. Like, I don't have to take in some of the stuff. Now I got to figure out who I am again. You're always still that same person, but now you're older. And it's almost taboo to say, like, I want to be selfish for myself and take my own time to go play baseball or, go do these things and stuff like that, because the minute you have children, you're going to sacrifice a lot of time, and it's a partnership,
It is.
And I think that maybe as parents, we have to be able to rely on the other parent if they're still in the picture to say, hey, you got it this week, I got it that week. You got it this week, I got it that week, and I don't think, and there needs maybe clear understanding with the children to know that you may not be at every event.
Yeah.
And if, but then again, we always run the thing of, okay, where are you at though? Like, you just can't go to the movies by yourself and be like, oh, you're at the movies by yourself. Like, you're so selfish. Like, but I think at the other side though, like as the other spouse should be able to understand that they should do things themselves too.
Yeah. And I think dude, you couldn't hit the nail on the head any more straight, because I think you're right. There is a certain bit of selfishness that should come with parenting, in the sense that, like, okay, case in point, when my wife and I both decided, okay, we got 2 kids, we don't want anymore, right? I was going to get the surgery, and she asked me, are you sure? I said, yeah, you gave birth. It was you give them, and I'll stop the factory, right? That's what we agreed on since day one. And she says, okay. And then she, kind of tongue in cheek, she's like, so you don't want any more kids, so you're saying you want to be selfish? And I kind of like thought about it, and I said, yeah, that is true. I do want to be selfish, because I feel we give so much to our kids that sometimes, like you said, we lose sight of who we really are, what we want for us.
I think that can, and that not only just with kids, I think that can happen in a relationship too.
Oh, yeah.
That can happen I think that's with any relationship you have, whether it's a relationship with just your work, whether it's a relationship with a friend, or it can be with, a hobby. I mean, there's always that form of, like, you just either lose it all or you give up so much to that you're sacrificing a lot, and then you're not paying attention to either the end moment or kind of like the end result, Yeah. And I think that kind of goes even with, like, hand in hand, like with, there's things that always stick out in my mind, like being in a relationship, and then, when I used to work at the gym, used to have a lot of people that would be like, oh yeah, I was married for X amount of years and then we got a divorce. And I'm like, what do you mean? That was a long time you guys were married. And then they come back and they were like, yeah, after the kids moved out, we had no clue who we were. And then I got divorced, and then I married my, new now spouse, and oh man, it's amazing now. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what? Like this was this is like it. Like I'm excited. This is my person. And I'm like, well, that's crazy. And it just blew my mind that we transition, we change. I think you're always getting better or you're always getting worse. You're never staying. You can never be in that one spot. Like you just can't be stuck. Right. You got to either educate yourself, get a different position, move up in the position, sign up for something for yourself, play baseball. Right. I mean, you just have to just continue to grow. When you say stay stagnant, you're going to die. Something with some way, shape, or form. Something's going to die for both you guys.
So what do you think keeps people complacent or in the same spot, in your opinion?
Being comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think being comfortable. So I heard this before. They said that, I think I said this before, but psychologists say that from 25 and under, you can learn new things, like new skill, something that you can implement into your life and change drastically.
Okay.
All right. After 25, it will no longer work that way. Like you can't just go read a book and be like, hey, I'm motivated. Now I'm going to change my whole life around.
Right.
Literally, in order for it to imprint into our heads at that age, something has to happen that is like catastrophic, that is drastic. So somebody has to die for you to make this change. You have to hit rock bottom for you to make that change. You got to get a divorce to make a change. You know, something has to happen for it to imprint on you what you're trying to learn. So it kind of blew my mind, you know, because to me, I think, you know, after a certain age, we always want to get into to feel complacent. Okay, great. I got married. Okay, great. Now I have kids. I got the house.
Right.
Okay. So like, oh, I show up to all the events. We go to trips. Like now what else? Like, is that what you want for your children? Like, is that the American dream? Where did we learn that? Like, right. I want my kid. I don't care if my kids get married. I don't give a shit. Honestly, from 20 to 30, get the fuck out of Bakersfield. Yeah. Don't come back. Don't look for me. Yeah. I'm fine without you.
Yeah.
You'll be fine without me. Like, go learn. Go figure out yourself. Like, go make a bunch of mistakes and learn and get cultured and just do something. Go experience the world between those times.
Right.
You want to go to school, go to school. If you don't want to go to school, great. Then be really good at what your strengths are in that field, or, you know, whatever you're going to go after, you know?
Right.
And because I don't know. I don't believe in the system of what we were taught.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's what separates, you know, individuals like ourselves and other people from breaking away from the norm. That when you break out of the norm, like, why would you do that? It doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. You know, like having the kids travel. I think I agree 100%.
Yeah.
You know, get out of Bakersfield. There are other things out there other than the city that you live in. You know, but I think you're right. Some people, no, I don't want to hurt someone's feelings. I don't want to do this. This is my life, how it's supposed to be. And for myself, it's like, yeah, I want my kids to do better than I did, but they're going to mess up along the way somehow. Now, as parents, I'm going to be there to catch them and help straighten them out. Mm-hmm. But I think by like 18, by like 22, I think they're already young enough. Okay.
No, when you say better, though, like what is better than what you did?
Better than me is, I would say, go with what you want early in life, mm-hmm. right? Like I prolonged everything. Like if I'd have gone in real estate when I was in my early 20s or mm-hmm. even mid 20s, you know, who knows? I probably would have had more kids because I didn't have my surgery until I was like late 20s, mm-hmm. maybe even early 30s. But even then, you know, because I always want to have a bigger family. But realistically speaking, when we get the daycare bill, when we're spending $10,000 a year just on daycare alone, mm-hmm. hey man, that was enough in itself. Be like, hey, you want to have more kids? Look at the bill. Oh, then it'll be 20. Nah, I'm cool. I'm done. That's not doing anything tonight. Mm-hmm. Because it became so expensive that I thought, man, I can't afford to have a daycare watch my kids. Mm-hmm. And my mom ain't gonna watch them because mm-hmm. she's like, oh, I gotta work. I can't do that.
So before you run off on a tangent, what is better than what you did?
Better than me. It's just saying, you know, I want them to go ahead and
because I bring that up because it's a blanket statement.
Yeah.
I want you to have a better life than me. Okay, so what? What does that mean? What does that look like?
No, better life. I just want them to do better for themselves.
But but I'm saying, like, when people say that, like,
right.
Go ask 10 people. You think one of them are going to be like, "Why? I hope my kids have a shittier life than me." Don't you think most of them, 10 of them are going to be like, "I hope they have a better life than me."
Yeah.
That's like you walking in somewhere and someone says, "Well, how's your day?" "Oh, it's good." Like it's just a natural response.
Right.
It's like to us get a negative. So what does a better life look like?
Well, it just depends. Just one for me. Don't do drugs or get. Or I should say no. Let me take that back. For me, a better life is just be happier now. Be happy with what you got. Because growing up, I was taught, to have a better life, you have to have the money. You have to go to college. That's the only way you're going to be happy in life. And kind of find out, dude, all that shit really doesn't make you happy. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
So for me, for them to have a better life, I just want them to be happier, whatever the hell they're doing. That's it.
Yeah. Fair enough.
How about you? What's your definition of them having a better life?
I would want, you know what? I wouldn't even say I want them to have a better life. I think I would want for them to be more self-aware at an earlier age. Know who they are and know that they don't need somebody else to emotionally fill their cup. Like they are happy with themselves.
Yeah.
And they have to be happy first before they can do anything to help others.
Okay. So a sense of independency, like
they don't need to have to date somebody just to feel like it's normal, like to feel like they're accepted. They don't have to just get married because they felt that's what they have to do.
Right.
They don't want to have kids, then they don't want to have kids. You know what I mean? Like they have it when they want to. Right. They should be as happy as they are when they have $1 as they may be when they have $1 million.
Yeah.
Because currency doesn't have an effect on their happiness
at all.
But they should be happy with what they're doing while they're traveling the world. They should be happy when they're with each other. I want them to have a tight bond with each other to where they know that's who they rely on before they get out of the circle. You know what I mean? Because, I've seen enough people who don't have anything, but have a lot. And I've seen a lot of people who have a lot and don't have anything.
Yeah, that's so true.
And I think until you've actually, like I always say, man, like they say, there's 3 people that tell the truth: kids, drunk people, and people that are pissed. You tend to, when you get drunk with somebody and you can tend to break them down and really get to the core of what they're about in the sense of a conversation. So that's why I always like to be like, oh, you drink? Cool, let's put one on. So I can just kind of see their ambitions, how wild they get, how quiet they get, how much they talk about old stuff, how their life was. Because a lot of times they're just trying to put that front up like consistently because they're so concerned in that the fact that their cup may not be filled. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's kind of like that. That's that. I want them to be, just really self-aware. Like, and I think, I know it sounds stupid. Well, it sounds stupid. But I know it sounds naive to say this, but I feel that regardless if they even went to school or what they're learning, anything like that, I feel that for that their parents are intelligent enough that they have that, they're gonna have that trait in them. Like they're where they're gonna be aggressive, competitive, and they're gonna be self-aware. Like they're going to, regardless, like they're just gonna pick that up.
Right.
It's just it's a trait that they're gonna just roll with it. Now all 4 of them may not be like that, maybe 3, maybe 2, but I think they will, and will be a support system. But I definitely just want them to just an experience life, man.
Yeah.
I'll never take nothing back that may have happened to me. That we'll get into when we do my interview, but because those things made me.
Right.
But learn from other people's mistakes, get more well-versed and educated off of other people's mistakes, and then surround yourself with other people than what you're used to. Like get into different circles, get into different things, get involved. Like get involved. Realize you have to, you know what I mean?
Okay. Well, that makes sense, man. But I mean, we can always say we want them to travel and they do this.
Mm-hmm.
What if they decide, hey, Dad, no, I'm just going to live with you for a good while, and they live into their 20s?
Well, they won't.
No?
Mm-hmm. I don't think there's no part of them I don't see a weakness in them that they want to stay home.
Yeah.
Like a baby.
Do you consider it a weakness when someone does stay home?
I think you're
weak. How's that?
How come you can't stand on your own to leave?
Mm-hmm.
Like what? Like for what reason would your kid want to stay at home? If it's like for school, if you're helping them out financially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But like what? Because they can't leave their parents?
Right. Well, I just think some people, if they had it, their decision, like for me, if my son wanted to stay at our house because he was saving up to buy his own house, but he was still going to school or saving up, I'm all for it.
When that's kind of like what
That's
I said. If it's something like that,
Okay.
then you're helping out, yes. But if your
Right.
son just couldn't leave mom and dad,
like,
then you're going to
just stay
fail at
there and
everything.
not do anything. Yeah. Yeah.
I've told you examples of people I know that got stuff, education handed to them, and came back because they were so sad they couldn't leave their parents.
Yeah, that's pretty
fuck
scary.
is wrong with you? Like, and that goes back to some form of nurturing or some type of lack of. You see, when we're growing up, there's a lack of. I believe there's like you're dealing with your parents' insecurities, right? Your parent didn't know any better. Yeah. So the things that they were good and bad at is kind of like that's your first form of education. So if your mother or father was emotionally didn't know themselves, and I don't think their cup was filled. When I say their cup was filled, I mean they're taking care of themselves first in order they can give back. If they weren't, let's just say your mom was, whatever the relationship was. I'm not saying your mom, but just a mom in general was real needy, right? Because she just wasn't happy with herself, that she pressed upon the child that was her everything and stuff like that. They're only going to go so far because now they feel like they can't break that bond, or they're going to let their mom down, or they need as much as they saw that's how to love. So they're going to try to love also that way. Or now they're clinging to people, and if they leave, they fall apart and shit like that. Yeah. Or if the dad was really like not there, not present, then it's like you're always either going to be looking for that, or maybe you love a hard way that you're pushing everybody away, and then you feel it. So again, your first form of like communication of how to work with people generally is going to come from their shortcomings. Right. You know what I'm saying? And their strengths. Yeah. So, kind of to go back to it, like, I think that if you can, teach them just to stand on their own, be happy and be adventurous, like they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Yeah. I think anytime I see families where it's like they'll leave, the kids will come back, they may work towards another position of a job, and then they leave and then they come back. But there's always a progress, and there's always an expectation set. Like, okay, look, you're gonna come back and you can stay here for a year. Right. Before you go do that. That's kind of like working as a team. Right. This is what we're doing. You know what I mean? Okay. But not like come back and just live there forever, though. Yeah. No, that's rough. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, man. I'm not trying to knock people that are like in their 40s, still with their parents, more power to you. But for me, like, and I've met your kids, man. They're really good kids. The thing about your kids that sticks out to me is, yes, they are very opinionated and not scared to tell you what they think. And I think that's a very undervalued asset that most kids don't have, is just being able to be honest and upfront with you and with anyone else. Or to communicate. Yeah. Right. That's one thing I've always pushed is like, you should, if you can, get into a debate. Yeah. Be like, just to learn how to communicate with somebody else. Yeah. Because that's something like we're always gonna that's something we're gonna lose when it comes to communication. Yeah. Because that's something I show my daughter and son. Like, hey, look, I said, my son, you can learn how to iron because I don't want you to depend on anyone else. Oh, my mom's gonna iron for me, or my girlfriend, my wife, whatever is gonna iron for you. My daughter, I tell her the same thing. You're gonna play sports, enjoy yourself, and I want her to feel independent enough and strong enough to say, hey, I'm with someone because I love them, not because I need them. You know what I mean? Right. And I think that if we show them that, hopefully it'll instill in them that, a sense of independence to be able to say, hey, I did this for myself. Right. And just move forward. Well, I think not only just that too, I think, and this goes for just everybody in general, I think when you as an individual, or even at an early age, if you can just stop pointing out and saying that, like, these are the problems, like, this is why this is like this for me, and this is why it's like that. And if this goes this way, and you finally start saying, well, this is why it's my fault, and you accept the responsibility, you're going to be able to get past a lot more things quicker. Yeah. Because once you accept it, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, it happened. Hey, I did this. I accept it. This is where I'm at right now, but I got to get myself out of it. Like, right. I think you really get to see who somebody is whenever adversity hits. Oh yeah. Always. Sure. And again, back to that whole, when 25 and over, like, you're making the change because something drastic happens in your life, and that's your adversity. Like, well, how are you going to bounce back? But on the flip, you got to say that, you know what, if something traumatic happens in your life, it's okay to like be hurt for that amount of time. Actually, you should like if somebody passes away and it was really close to you, like absorb that, like be hurt about it, so it gets not out of the way, but you dealt with it and you move forward from it. And I think that's that's something that a lot of people don't learn. We may learn at the wrong time or learn when it's too late. And again, that's back to the fact that where did we learn from? Like, no one's teaching you how to deal with your feelings. No one teaches you how to be aware of your current situation. Just like they don't teach us how to, you're not getting taught how to manage money. You're not getting taught how to grow your investments, your portfolios. No one's teaching you that. They teach you one thing. Show up to school at this time. You take a break. You take a lunch. You take a break. You go, and you're done. What is that called? That's called a fucking job. That's a 9 to 5. You go to work at 9, you get a 15-minute break, you get a lunch break, you get another 15 mandated, and you go home. They're teaching you how to be an employee. Yeah, that's really what we are. I mean, that like you've probably heard too. Like the education system was based off of general, like the way they ran plants back in the day. Like that's what the whole shit was created for.
Yeah, that's what they say. A job is very similar to like a jail, in the sense that. Yeah, you go in a boxed area, you can't leave out of there for a certain time, right? And the more they take care of you and cater to you there, they hide the fact that you're literally in jail. If you work for a corporation, they hope that you stay there for the 20, 40 years because you're going to make them an absorbent amount of money.
I'd say now, because now the longer you stay at a job, the more likely you are to get fired, because as your wage increases, they can hire 2 to 3 people of your caliber.
Yeah. Well,
that are going to work I mean, I really don't hear a lot of jobs anymore that are like giving away what they used to give away. Like, I don't think FedEx probably doesn't pay the same way they used to pay when people first started. No. I know UPS doesn't pay the same way, because I worked with a couple guys that work there, and I'm like, they always talk about, man, the good old days, how it was, and like how they're happy that they still have
bonuses now. Now they did away with that, and it's crazy, man. And I don't know. I love the fact that I'm an entrepreneur, because for so many reasons. I don't have a 401k, but if I learn about investments, then that's my 401k, right? But I really, I don't want to get too much into this, because this can probably be a whole nother conversation, but the whole education system, do you think that if they were to teach us how to be financially stable, how to do proper investments, or even invest in the stock market at an early age, say junior high, kind of start implementing that, do you think we would be in the situation that we are in? What are we, like trillions of dollars in debt?
I mean, we're in debt so much. I think we're in debt to the Decepticons. It's like such a big number. I don't know, man. I mean, honestly, I really couldn't tell you. I mean, I think education's a great thing for what it's worth at that time, and I mean, there's a lot of basic fundamentals that I wish I had, like being really great at grammar and being able to structure stuff together to write more. Those things obviously I can learn, but I'm past 25, and maybe something traumatic has to happen to me for me to learn how to get better at that. But I also realize like what my strong suits are. Yeah. And I've never been that type to try to downplay somebody else because they don't have the same strong suits versus others who are like, well, this is my strong suit. I'm educated, and because of that, I'm better. Push comes to shove, we have to get out there and knock some doors. I'm going to beat you when it comes to talking to people. You know what I mean? Like, you always need a salesperson. You always need a person to create something. Yeah. Steve Jobs sees Wozniak. Engineer, mind, salesman. Yeah. So I think they should teach. I think they should teach a little bit more. I mean, I could see that. I can see a difference in my kids. So my 2 older were started straight public system, and then go to public school, obviously. And then my younger children, my second youngest, started at a Montessori school, which is like a free thinking type of school where they teach you in a different way. It's a smaller class. It's more independent learning. One-on-one. It's more of like making you aware of you as a person. Like, if you play with something and you take it, you got to come back and put it away before you can grab the next item. That's called responsibility. Like right. You learn how to do all these things on your own. They teach them like about the world, the different geographical areas, like, but I can see the process of his brain work at a different caliber than other kids his age. And it isn't just to be like, oh, my kid's smart. But I saw that with prior to him going, the reason he went was because his mom had saw other little kids that were like that. I mean, I would meet these kids. I'm like, how old are you? They're like, oh, I'm like 5, 4. And I'm like, you're like 10 years old. Like, what are you talking about? Like, my son's like telling me like who flew to the moon and when they landed. And I'm like, what? Like, how do you know this? But they're just educating them.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, but it's and you know, there's times where he'll look at your face and he'll be like, are you sad? And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you know, you're doing this with your face, so that means you're sad, right? And I'm like, okay, like, but it's cool. It's he's making he's in tune, or, you know, hey, I'm not happy right now. Like, they'll tell you, I'm not happy right now. And you're like, oh, okay, well, tell me. And then they're just more in tune. And I think that education was so much different. And like, they're going to even do an entrepreneurial class, like, for certain grades. They're supposed to get that going out here, but it's like I think it was like from 6th grade to like 8th, 9th grade, like more of a free thinking entrepreneur class. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. You know, now granted, those things are going to be cheap. You know, they're probably going to be a couple grand a month to go to it, but you know, you're teaching them something different. So, I mean, I can't knock the education system. I mean, because again, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, just, it wasn't for me. I learned what I was really good at fast, which was just, I can communicate, and I could learn off of other people hands on, and then take that form of communication. And then I just realized, okay, well, I mean, if I sell something, I get a payment for it, I get reward for it. So then I'm going to continue to sell. The next step in my education is I need to be able to, if I can't sleep and make money, then I'm going to work forever making money.
Yep. Because
we need to be able to trade our time for money. Like we need to, you know, time is something that fleets us. It's always going to get away from us.
Yeah.
So how do we trade that off? And I'm, you know, and by, you know, educating ourselves around other individuals, I think, that are kind of in that progression.
Yeah.
And then it's always another step. I mean, pulling the trigger to spend time to do the podcast is something, you know, we're doing to get to where we need to get. Pulling the trigger to jump into different businesses that you may be interested in. Like, this is the same thing over and over that you did with real estate, right? So, you know, how do we get away? And I think a lot of times we need to start writing just our goals down to 100% and try to say, okay, the little things here, there, and here. The crazy thing, and I think you'd agree with me, is it's such a long, like, there's guys that we know that are driving what they drive, what they have, what they buy, everything. And you ask them, and they're still young, you know, and you ask them, and they're like, oh, but I've been in this thing for like 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And you're like, damn, I'm 4 years in.
Yeah.
And you're 3 years in. Like, you got to understand, like, everything we're doing right now ain't no 90 days from now. This is like 9 years. Like, this is all stuff that's going to take forever.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. It's just frustrating because it's a process. We want everything now. And I think we've done pretty good for ourselves to be able to get to where we're at, but we still have a long way to go on, like, our broker now, Tony. I want to tell you, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
Right.
But sometimes we just get so impatient that we want to be able to have all the accolades now. But to me, it gives me a sense of comfort to know that what we're doing now, we're doing something instead of nothing. Because the worst thing you could do is absolutely nothing. Sit there, complain about how stagnant or mundane your life has become, and you don't do anything about it. You know, something is better than nothing.
I heard. What did I hear at this conference up? And we were in Sacramento. You were there too. And he goes, you're either at the table eating, or you're the main, or you're the course.
Yeah.
You're getting eaten. And I'm like, damn, that's hard, dude. Like, that's real talk. Like, you just have to try to do something. You know what I mean? Like, it just, you know, Jim Carrey, and let me find it. I was telling you about that whole Jim Carrey thing, right? Like, what he was saying about his dad. So, like, if you ever get a chance, look up Jim Carrey's speech when he was in, like, his college speech. Like, I don't know what he was getting, like a doctorate or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
they had him speak at a university.
Yeah. And he says, you know, Jim Carrey, if you know anything about him, he wrote himself a check. And for $1 million, and to paid acting services. And
acting services rendered.
Yep. And then he actually made an expiration date on it and then hit it. And then he had all these goals set, and then he got them. You know, and if you know anything about him now, he's like Russell Brand. Like they're so far away from wanting to be in the limelight because they felt like they got there, and then it wasn't what they thought it was. Yeah. And they realized like now they need to trade off and be more self-aware, and there's more in the world. I mean, they're literally, when you start YouTubing them, there's a lot of things.
They turned into huge philanthropists, and Jim Carrey. Just if you see him now, it's you know, he's got the beard grown out. He's aged. But if you actually listen to him and what he says, I mean, it'll really blow your mind.
So his dad, so here's what he says, but it's dope on the speech. He says, you can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. And when he tells the story about it, he talks about his dad. So his dad, when they were in Canada, he had a certain trade, did really well at it. But in order to get over to the States, that didn't carry over. So he had to pick up a new form of employment.
Right.
So he became I think it was a CPA. He was like a CPA. He ran books.
Yeah.
So he did this he said, well over 20 years. And he hated it. He says his dad was the funniest guy he knew. His dad probably could have became something bigger, but his dad just didn't do it because he had to do this for his family and make sacrifice. And this is what he had to do for his family. But he didn't like the position he was at. And then finally, his dad gets fired. And they fire him, and he says that he learned from his dad because his dad was so broken over getting fired, not because he hated the job, he was no longer going to be there, because all this time has passed, and he wasted his life at a job that he hated.
Yep. So
that's when he realized, like, man, you know, I can either do something I hate or I can do something I love and just take the shot at it.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of like, what do you think about that?
I think that speaks volumes, man. I mean, so many people are stuck at that same job, or, you know, so I'm working at McDonald's. Oh man, I hate it. Or I work over here, and oh man, I hate it. You know, but yet they still go back every time, every day. Well, I gotta show up with a bad attitude to work, and you're slowly like killing yourself. You're not doing what you really set out to do. Well, I'm doing this for a paycheck. I'm doing this for my kids. So you're doing what you don't like, and you're showing your kids it's okay to do what you don't like because you have to sacrifice your happiness for someone else.
Yeah.
Are you really teaching them how to be happy? No, I think it's the complete opposite. If you can be honest with yourself and say, hey, look, you know what? There's plenty of parents out there that go to school, have a job, get their master's degree, all the while raising children. You really have to put that into perspective and figure out, okay, you know what? I'm going to do what's going to make me happy so I can show my kids this is my definition of happiness. If you want something else, go do it. Do what you love, and like Jim Carrey says, you're gonna fail at it.
Yeah.
You know, just go ahead and do it either way because nothing sucks. And I remember being at Office Depot, man, getting up at 5:30. This job sucked. I hated it. Mm-hmm. Even when I was doing the X-ray tech thing during my lunch hour, I would actually wash cars for $5. Wash it.
Always do a little something different.
Always something in between.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, like progression, moving forward, getting better at my craft. And, you know, some people at the radiology, hey, let me wash your car for $5. And then I remember telling my wife at the time, when we were married, then I was 23 or 24. So, man, imagine if there was a car wash shop and you could just pay $5 and wash it all for you. That'd be crazy. I said, yeah, I guess that'd be nice. And then, never mind. Fast forward like 6-7 years later, there's a acoustic car wash, $5, millionaires already. So it's those missed opportunities.
Well, not a missed opportunity if you think about it. Like, and I forgot. I think Gary Vaynerchuk said this before, and I forgot how he said it. It was like everybody has that thought, like, oh, well, what if there was this or what if that? And he's like I forgot how he said it. He was like, oh, fucking well. He's like, you and every other person has a fucking thought.
Yeah.
He's like, the difference is you just couldn't execute shit.
Hell no.
You deal with it. He's like, because that's the difference between a dreamer and somebody who's headed to where their dreams are. It's execution. Like, you have to execute. You have to execute. You have to, even if the execution is so minuscule, like just going and showing up and learning one thing that day. That pushes you to there. That pushes you to there. Because eventually, you know, you're laying all these bricks, and eventually you're going to build that wall. Yeah. Eventually you're going to build that stack.
Brick by brick.
Brick by brick. So I think that's kind of it for me tonight.
Yeah.
I think we got a good little episode, kind of talked here and there. I think hopefully that helped complete our your talk about the dash and kind of how you feel,
Yeah, man. Just
really just building your legacy.
It was good. Yeah, that's what it is. Building your legacy.
And I think you should include your family. I think we should always include our family. And we could all get better at that. Where I think a lot of times we sit here and we talk about dreaming for each other, or this is what I want to do for everybody. But like, if you sat down and you talk to your spouse and you talk to the kids and you're like, hey, look, this is my dream. This is what I want to do. What are your thoughts about this? And you have to take that with the grain of salt that they may not be like, I don't really want to do that. I don't really like that. Okay, great. Well, how we all do this together? Yeah. Because everybody has to kind of be on board,
And that's 100%, man. Because like you said, communication and what I want for them, like you said, they might not want it. And I mean,
they may just come to me like, hey, Dad, I just want to grow weed and smoke all day.
Yeah. And really? Well,
be okay.
Let me find out the reviews on that. Or
you'd be like, all right.
Well, you got an investor. So let's see what we can do. But I just think, you know what? I challenge that, man. For those of you watching, if you have a family or brothers and sisters that you want to do things for them, sit down with them individually and ask them what they want for themselves. Mm-hmm. You might be surprised, man. I was surprised about my son. Hey, what do you want to do? And he hit me with I really want to do this. Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay, lesson learned. I'm going to go ahead and let you be your own individual and take your thoughts into consideration.
Right. Or another thing too, he's like you said, hey, go sit down with your kids. His kids tell the truth and ask them, what do they think about you as a person?
Oh.
What do you think about your job, how much you work, your decisions you make, but be ready to hear whatever they say.
Be ready.
And you can, I hate to say, you shouldn't, I could not see anybody sitting there arguing back with their kid and being like, hey, well, you're wrong. You could be with the spouse, a coworker, but if your kid drops that on you and that doesn't make an impact that you're going to change, I think that's a big impact moment. Yeah. Got a problem. That's why you might want to focus on that because that's what they see you as. And they may not be happy with the hours you're working and the money you're bringing in. And when you tell them, I'm doing these things for you because of the money, and they're like, I really don't care about that. I just want you to go throw the ball with me. Yeah. Hey, I just want you to run around the block with me. You're like, that's it. And I think that's the beauty of children. There's no worry, there's a point where we forget what it was like to be in the moment. Yeah. And when a kid's playing, they're just playing. When they're focused on drawing, they're just drawing. When they're being a kid, they're just focused on being kids. They're not concerned. There's no bills. There's no breakups. There's no expectations or anybody that they have to let down. And I don't ever. One thing I try to stop myself from doing is when they're playing, just let them play. Let them be kids. Yeah. Don't do that.
Don't put limits in.
Don't do that, because then when they get older, they're just going to think that, I can't be myself. Yeah. And I think that a lot of times can go back to the whole, speaking in front of people and, talking to people. When you start putting these limitations on them, then they start thinking that they can't be themselves. So then when they get in public, it's so hard for them to transition. Yeah. And then it has to be taught.
Well, to a certain point, I guess it depends on perspective, right? You see it as limitations. I put it as rules, right? I teach my kids to be respectful to older folks. Mm-hmm. Don't talk out of turn. Be polite and courteous. Me, I don't like to jump. Me personally, I don't like my kids jumping on the sofas for whatever reason, for breaking an arm or whatever. Mm-hmm. Only because I broke my arm, so hey, that's a big deal.
I feel like that's a limitation though. When you tell them don't do that. Yeah. Because think about all those sports crazy people that there's a certain. You can't recall a time whenever you when you do something, the first thing that comes to your mind was oh man, I remember they used to tell me not to do that because I'd get hurt. Right. Or all the times, have you ever you remember your parents ever tell you something, and then you get older and you're like, that shit was a whole life still the whole time. Yeah. You're I lived my life by that shit for a while. So when I reference them, if they want to just draw for hours, let them fucking draw for hours. If they want to run around and be kids, let them run around and be kids. Don't take that. We can't take that away from them. I'm about jumping on the couch. I always my ex-wife would always say if you're going to tell them something, try to explain to them why you're telling them that. Yeah. Why is that? Why are you telling them not to jump? Why don't you fall, hurt yourself? You know what I mean?
Well,
I'm
and
like,
that's
oh,
the
okay,
thing,
that
and
makes
that
sense.
and
Like,
that's
instead of just like,
that's the
stop,
type of thing.
just stop.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
No, and yeah, that's what I mean. Is I feel like, to me, some kids need structure. They need certain rules to abide by. Because if my kids are hanging upside down from the damn chandelier of my house, and then they go to someone else's house, oh, don't worry about it. No, let them hang on the chandelier. They do it at my house all the time.
Mm.
No, I feel they have to learn the difference between their house and respecting other people's things. Because I think if you don't show them that at home and they go somewhere else and they do act out, as a parent, you can be like, oh, that's cool with them. I'm letting my kids do what they want.
I don't.
You know what I mean?
I kind of disagree with that,
Yeah.
and I disagree with that because
Like I said,
don't.
that's
I don't
my
think,
perspective. Yeah.
But no, here, let me back up. Your kids would never do that, and I don't think it's because you told them not to do that. I think it's because you and Laura, without telling them, have pressed upon them how to act at other people's houses.
Yep.
So you don't like my kids. We go places like they can sit in a movie. They won't get out of hand.
Right.
They're not gonna run up and I've never sat there and told them don't run or do anything like that. They've just adopted and they've watched us, right? So when the parent acts like a hot mess in public, they're gonna act the exact same goddamn way.
Yeah.
If you're yelling and cussing at people and you're snapping on people in front of them, that's what they're gonna see. You know what I mean? Right. So that's probably they're gonna correlate that to however they act. So it's a lot of times it's not even the things we say. It's all the unsung. It's all the things that they just see us do. That kind of go to that. You know what I mean? Like those make the biggest impressions on them. So it's unfortunate because there's a lot of younger people having kids. Like we were young too, but the next generation seems like the more entitled. Plus the ones that are more like you can't tell me what to do. I'm my own individual.
Exactly.
So thus my kid's gonna be an asshole.
Yeah,
because they're not.
I agree.
They're not trying to show respect
because they don't show the respect, the entitlement, and they don't carry themselves in a manner that says, you know what, I'm trying to be a good human being and be a productive person to help out whoever, family or something. Just be a better person.
Yeah, well, for sure. Yeah, so I think we've been pretty long, man. Good enough. Almost hit a full hour. This is another episode. This is episode 7. We're going to go back and re-edit it so we all have all the episodes going instead of saying episode 6, part 1 and 2.
5.0.
Yeah, 0.50, 50, whatever. Yeah. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook.
Put a stamp on it.com. Subscribe, like, and share with everyone. Let's get this worldwide, people. You can get it
going. All right, everybody. Have a good one.
Thanks.